All right, so I'm here for my last session debrief from my Scaling New Heights 2021 experience. I hope you've had a chance to watch all these videos. I'm going to do one more after this for my overall conference takeaways, but this session that I'm recording back home the day after the conference was called Vision Casting, Aligning Your Practice with Your True North, and it was taught by Patricia Hendrix. I was partly hesitant to go to this because I was like, I don't know if this is going to be just a lot of fluff, but I was really glad that I went, and I think that it's probably wise to put something like this in your conference agenda where you're not just doing the technical stuff, you're taking that step back to think about the really big picture of, your work and your life and making it all work together. Some people in the session use creating harmony between your work and your life, and it was not just fluff. She had us actually take time in silence to work on some of the stuff she was teaching. So it was really good, and I'm really glad that I went. She worked through us doing something working through this concept of vision. Flows to purpose, flows to our mission, and at the end we kind of came up with at least a rough draft of those things for us. For what it's worth, Woodard Alliance, I understand that Woodard Alliance gives training on this specifically. So if you need the material, I would check them out. Also, if you have any other recommendations, if anyone's listening to this about ways, good resources for people, put it in the comments about how can we work on sort of vision casting, coming up with a mission for your business, for your life. I would love to hear other people's recommended resources. So top 3 things I learned. Okay, yes, the 3-step process, or the three components, was your vision, your mission, and your purpose. The vision is the why, the purpose is what you do, and the mission is how you do what you do. So maybe even just write those things down, like vision, why, purpose, what, mission, how, and you can start writing sentences for those 3 categories and then see where you get. Feel free to share them in the comments if you're brave. Number 2, she quoted something that Joe Woodard said was, opportunity does not mean obligation. And she says they say that a lot in their company. She works for Joe. But if you don't do exercise like what we did in this session, then you're going to end up saying yes to opportunities that don't align, because you have no framework to determine whether you should be doing that or not. You're going to be, just because you can does not mean that you're obligated to. And a lot of us are want to be helpful anyway. We're used to that. We're yes, we want to keep these people in business, that sort of thing. But so to give yourself a framework by which you're able to make yeses and nos easier on yourself will be helpful. So that was just a good sentence takeaway. Opportunity does not mean obligation for any of us. Just because we can do something hard in bookkeeping or in QuickBooks or in Xero or whatever we're being asked to do doesn't mean we have to do it. Number 3 thing I learned, we talked about, she didn't even really talk about it. It was someone from the audience actually, about balance. Patricia talked about it some, but then this woman shared this example of her husband being a Kung Fu instructor and how they practice balance in there, and probably all sorts of weird ways to balance. But she talks about how he tells his students that, you don't, that looks easy, or you don't have to be strong to do that. And she says to do balance exercises well, you're using, thousands of tiny muscles and strengthening them. And it's actually really, really, you have to be really, really strong to be able to do it. And so what that's making me think is it takes time. None of us are going to be able to go out and run a marathon tomorrow if we haven't trained. We're not going to be able to deadlift a ton of weight if we haven't trained. So think of this concept of balance as almost like an exercise routine that we're working toward to become stronger, become better, and it's also exercising little muscles. It's not going to be this one big muscle that we fix and make strong. It's going to take all sorts of tiny little efforts to strengthen, and tiny little efforts in different facets of our life and different facets of our business. Okay, the one action item I will implement. So I need to complete my exercise. I need to define what my ideal service and knowledge work is going to be, and I know that it's going to include the concepts of teaching and inspiring. As I think about building my business, I'm not going to do tax returns. And why? Because I've always been a teacher, and during this exercise, that's what I was able to realize. I don't know if I should read y'all what I wrote. I'll read you the first line. So for vision, this is the rough draft. I wrote, to teach and inspire legacy building and stewardship within my family first and the entrepreneurs I'm blessed to work with. And that's going to flow down to how I build and operate my business and continue to, make changes and make improvements. I think that's why I want to do FreshBooks tutorials, because I've been a teacher. I mean, the first time I've been paid to teach was in college. My economics professor asked me to be his TA, and then in grad school, that economics professor asked me to be her TA. I teach Sunday school at church. I help teach in the bookkeeping side hustle group, and not teaching technical things necessarily, but there's a teaching aspect to my life. So that's gonna be that needs to be part of how I'm running my bookkeeping business, which is not a teaching business, right? It's a bookkeeping business, but I'm a teacher. I'm not a tech head, but some people maybe are. Some people are going to want to, infuse that into part of it. And maybe it'll end up being that I'm working with technology as I'm teaching or starting to like technology. Maybe I'll teach people how to implement technology. But anyway, I hope this is longer than I want it to be. I hope that's clear. So I encourage you to figure out ways to do something like this for yourself. I think it's worth going to one of these softer skilled type sessions at a future accounting conferences for myself and for anyone who's listening to this to be inspired to go to your first conference. All right, that was my last session debrief. Keep watching the playlist, though, because I'm going to do one more overall conference debrief. Have you subscribed to the YouTube channel? Have you watched all of the Scaling New Heights debriefs? You should.